as always, there's so much news surrounding Milan, whether this is a good move, whether this is a bad move. Reijnders' sale hurts the team. Theo Hernandez is gone. Where's Maldini? Number one, Maldini's not coming back. I feel like there's always like that little rumor that Maldini is coming back, but he's not coming back. But I feel like this management this summer has operated a lot more differently than previous summers. And I think that also has to do with the arrival of Iglitare. And to be honest, I think that he's been doing a decent job. Of course, there's a lot of critiques that I have, and of course we'll get into this video, but I feel like there's been a lot of positive signs, and I feel like Milan is going in the right trajectory. I don't think that we've done every single thing perfect, and I don't think that there's been a lot of negotiations with certain players that have gone our way. When you kind of just look at it at face value, you look at the certain moves that Milan has made, I'm not upset with them and I'm not happy, but I just kind of wanted to just state my thoughts and really ask the question, is Milan actually making the right moves this summer? And I think we'll start from the beginning, right? The Reijnders sale. For one, it didn't really come out of nowhere. There's always kind of rumors saying that he was going to go to Manchester City, but this was kind of, I think, the point where I think a lot of fans were upset with the management because, number one, you sell Reijnders for a fee of around 50 million plus bonuses, and if Manchester City reach all those bonuses, then it will come around to, I think, like 70 million, which is the price range that we wanted originally for Reijnders, but with all those bonuses and stuff, that's what it'll get to 70 million. But Reijnders even said it himself, and I think a lot more fans are at ease with his departure because he really said that Milan was a stepping stone to get to a bigger club like a Manchester City or a Barcelona or a Real Madrid. And that kind of honestly made the sale a lot less painful because, right, with the Tonali, right, he's a player that wanted to stay. He was someone that said, I wanted to stay and I wanted to really make history with Milan. And not that Reijnders didn't say that, but after he was sold, he was saying that, you know, kind of my goal was to play in the top competitions and win multiple trophies. And I mean, of course, at Manchester City, he's going to be able to do that. So I don't know, maybe you could say that this was a negative. I know Allegri did come out and say that he wanted Reijnders to stay, which, I mean, look, I think all of us wanted Reijnders to stay. He's a player that you need to keep. But look, the truth of the reality is Reijnders didn't want to stay, right? I think it kind of came out saying that he was not necessarily forcing the move, but he was kind of just okay with it. And he kind of just let it happen. Bing, bang, boom. He's on a flight to Manchester. So with that being said, I mean, Reijnders, you know, top player, but I think this was maybe a negative. I think definitely because you want to keep a player like him and definitely build around him. With the Theo sale as well, I think this was something where the writing was on the wall with this one. I think we kind of knew maybe around January to March that Theo is most likely out the door. And I'll say this right now, I think this was probably one of the better things to happen to Milan because Theo, I feel like, had a lot of baggage and there was always, you know, news stories around him and there was always just something going on with Theo Hernandez, whether it was with the management, whether it was on the pitch or whether it was in his personal life. I feel like there was so much stuff going around Theo Hernandez where maybe it did affect the locker room. And I mean, look, we get a good price for him. 25 million is a good deal considering his form was regressing. I mean, just look at the stats. Words talk, numbers scream. And when you kind of just look at Theo and let's say just the last 2 seasons, he was regressing. Under Fonseca, he was awful. Under Conceição, he was terrible. And even just kind of the last season of Pioli, he really wasn't that great. He showed glimpses, but nothing too crazy. And I mean, look, I think when you kind of just look at it in total and you look at the player who we replaced him with, which we'll get to later, Estupinan, I think this was one of the better things that kind of happened to this. And I mean, look, you get Estupinan for 20 mil, you sell Theo for 25, you still make 5 mil. So that's pretty good W on the management on that one. One move that I think really left a sour taste in a lot of fans' mouth was this Camarda loan. I think most people say that this is a good thing because you know that, oh, he's not going to get time at Milan and stuff like that. But just look at the current striker situation at Milan. With Jovic gone as well, our only true 9 is Santi Gimenez. And I mean, with the type of profile we're bringing in, I think it was a mistake to loan out Camarda because, I mean, you look, I said this in, I think, the previous video, where you look at clubs like Real Madrid who are giving chances to Gonzalo Garcia, I think is his name, top goal scorer of the Club World Cup for Real Madrid, hit the ground running right away. And when you give that confidence and when you give that license for a player, a young player specifically like that, you give him the keys to the attacking line, and he just absolutely went nuts. Like I said, top goal scorer of the Club World Cup, and now it looks like Real Madrid have a proper striker on their hands. He kind of reminds me of Raul a little bit, which is cool. It kind of just reminds you that Real Madrid still have that DNA about them, where they're able to kind of produce players like this, you know, from the fabric of the club. So when I look at Camarda going out on loan to a team like Lecce, it really makes me upset, because it's like, this was a player that I think we really could have benefited on keeping at the club, and especially when we're playing one game a week, right? Even if we're playing one game a week, Camarda comes on for 20, 25 minutes, and maybe he gets that occasional start here and there against like a, I don't know, a Sassuolo or something like that, a newly promoted team or a lower table team. And I think this was a huge mistake, and I think I'm going to say this. And it was, I think, in a press conference where Camarda was saying, can't wait to play Milan, because he wants to show us that it was a mistake letting him go out on loan. And I know he's going to come back, and I don't think that we're going to sell Camarda, even though that there is like a option to buy, which I don't think that we're going to let that happen. I think this would probably be one of the biggest mistakes if Milan do let this guy walk, and I feel like we really need to capitalize on Camarda coming in and really being a staple in this team. But best of luck in Lecce. One thing that also concerns me a little bit is this defensive line. Where's the depth? I think there's a lot of question marks around this kind of defensive line, where Salamaker's role in this team is going to be playing right back. Is he going to be like a sub for Pulisic, which honestly that might be the case. He kind of just subs in for Pulisic. Are we going to play Jimenez there, which I would like. I think, to be honest, that's probably one of the best guarantees we have in this team, is Alex Jimenez at right back. Honestly, it's like, who's going to stay between Tomori and Thiaw? Are we keeping both for depth pieces? Personally, I wouldn't mind keeping both, but if you do sell one, you have to bring in another one. And I know there's Coppola, I think that's been rumored. I've seen Leone, I've seen Camuzzo. So there's a lot of young Italian center backs being linked with Milan if we do sell one of Thiaw or Tomori. And I think we're kind of leaning more towards Thiaw, because I think he has a lot more suitors like in the Bundesliga and the Premier League and everything like that. So I think there's a lot of question marks about this defense. Let me know in the comment section below what you kind of think about the defensive mess, and kind of just any other kind of negatives that you would say about this current summer mercato. This whole Jashari saga, this is absolutely nonsense. How Club Brugge is playing hardball for absolutely no reason, and it's been almost negotiating 3 months for this deal, right? Milan keeps lowballing with, like, I think they started off with like a 25 million. Now they're up to like 35, but I think Club Brugge wants 40. And even their captain coming out and saying that Milan should pay Brugge the money and everything like that. It's just so unprofessional for a club like this. And I think, honestly, I think we should walk away from this deal, to be completely honest. I think it's just utter nonsense that we're kind of entertaining this whole thing, and just go out into the market, find a similar profile. And if he comes to Milan, great. But I think Milan should have a lot more respect for themselves in this deal, because I feel like we're just getting thrown around like a rag doll, to be honest. We're just getting pushed around saying, oh, this isn't enough. You have the captain coming out saying all this nonsense. And I mean, Brugge just playing hardball for absolutely no reason. Jashari wants to come to Milan. He doesn't want to stay at Brugge. And I feel like they're just making a mountain out of a molehill, when this deal should be done and dusted maybe at least a month ago, where we had agreement with Jashari himself for, I think, a contract till 2030. So a good little lengthy contract, a little 4 years. So that's pretty nice. But I mean, look, for 35 million, and if we push for 40, that's a lot, guys. And I'm expecting Jashari to really hit the ground running. I don't want no CDK BS. I don't want no nonsense. When you're paying a team 40 million for a player that really doesn't have a lot of guarantees, young as well. And I mean, look, we've seen this story before. CDK came in, right? We paid the 35 million, and he absolutely stunk up the gaff. So I'm looking at this, and I'm really kind of on the fence about this deal, because I don't know how good Jashari is, and I don't know how well he's going to deal with the pressure of playing with Milan, because us fans, we demand success from minute 1, right, till minute 90 and throughout the whole season, right? Even though last season didn't go our way, we were always still saying, we want the best for the team. We want to at least just see something from these players, and we didn't get that. So I'm really hoping that when Jashari comes in, he kind of knows the expectation coming in to perform well. And I'm really hoping that my next point that I'm about to make, some of the positives that this management has made, is Luka Modric. I feel like he's going to be such a crucial piece to this team. Not only the quality that he has at a ripe age of 39, 40 years old, but also I think the wisdom that he's going to bring, the leadership that he's going to bring also. And honestly, he's going to put a lot of these midfielders, these young midfielders, on game. Samuel Ricci is going to be learning from Luka Modric. If Jashari comes in, he's going to be learning from Modric as well. So it's like you have the best, for me, I think this is the best midfielder of the 2010s, to be completely honest. I know Iniesta had his time, but just the longevity of Modric, right? When you kind of just look at not only the accolades, right? The Ballon d'Or, which however you want to say it, controversial, whatever, he still won it because of the performances week in and week out that he was putting in for Real Madrid. And I mean, look, 6 Champions Leagues? He has 1 less than our whole club's history. So you bring in a guy like this who has played at the top level, he's only going to teach all of these young players, I think, a lot of mental toughness as well, because when you're at a team like Real Madrid, they as well expect top performances week in and week out. So I'm really hoping that Modric kind of instills that ideology and that philosophy into all these players. So it's like not only is he a player, but he's a coach as well. That's kind of how I see. He's like an on-field coach. So W signing, even though it's for 1 year, I think this is going to help out the squad much more than a lot of people think. So people are saying, oh, Modric is old, but it's like you kind of just look at it in totality. This is such a W signing. You're just looking at Modric kind of just having that proper leadership as well, and that's something that this team needs, is a proper leader, someone to kind of smack them in the back of the head to be like, look, get your shit together or else you're out the door. This is Milan. Even Modric, right? Even a boyhood fan of the club, Modric, knows the importance of wearing a Milan badge on your shirt. So such a W signing. Very happy with this. And I'm definitely going to cop a Modric jersey, 1,000,000%. The newest signing that AC Milan made from today, right? Home of Milan, we just posted this. Estupinan, the Theo Hernandez replacement. Here we go. This is a signing I'm so happy about because, right, we were always looking at Theo Hernandez as kind of not the type of work rate that we want from him, but this is one of Brighton's brightest players, no pun intended. But it seems like you're getting a carbon copy of Theo Hernandez, but with the work rate that we've wanted on this left-hand side, right? We always talk about, oh, Theo Hernandez doesn't really drop back. His defensive abilities aren't top, but you kind of just look at this signing, Estupinan, especially if Rafa is going to be playing a much more advanced role and a much more crucial role in the attack this year instead of asking to be playing defense, right? The fact that Fonseca and Conceição really asked this about Leao is so silly to me because you have players who can easily fill in that role for Rafa and really get the best out of him. And I think Estupinan is such a great signing, and I feel like he's going to fill in that role 100%. And I mean, look, I'm very happy with this deal. 20 million is such a good price as well. These are the types of signings that you give the management credit for. So I'm gonna tip my hat to Tade. I'm gonna tip my hat to Forlani and all these guys for kind of working this deal. And the deal got done quick. I think it was like maybe 2 weeks ago. We started to kind of see these rumors pop up. Oh, Estupinan is a name on the list because we were going after Mark Pubel from Almeria, which I was not really fond of that name, to be honest. I think Brighton also play a very good style as well. So I think you're getting one of their best players, Brighton. And I mean, look, Estupinan, man, I'm really happy about this signing. I think he's 27 years old, so he's just the same age as Theo as well. But I think you're getting a player who's going to contribute to the defense a lot more than Theo ever did, to be completely honest. And you still get that kind of attacking kind of philosophy from Estupinan as well. So really happy about this. And I think the last positive I'm going to say is, honestly, I was very pessimistic about this one, but Massimiliano Allegri, Max Allegri. I think Allegri's importance to this team is to remind them what they're playing for, what team they're playing in. And whether we like it or not, for me, Allegri is the best Serie A coach of all time. I'm going to say that much. And he's backed it with trophies, with success, and with the teams that he's played for at the top level and the players that he's developed. You're talking about Paul Pogba. You're talking about Dybala. You're talking about getting the best out of even guys like Matuidi, who were kind of at the tail end of the career, but he really made a staple in that Juventus team. Alex Sandro as well, and forming that back three line of Bonucci, Barzagli, Chiellini. It's sensational. So it's like you're kind of just looking at this. And when he came in, right, I was very pessimistic. I was like, Allegri, he's not going to do anything. He's just going to result to his toxic Juventus kind of tactics, that he had in his last season. But I was seeing like pictures and images, I think, of like the Milan team in the team gym. And you're just looking at them. They're all surrounded and Allegri's talking to them and everything like that. And another thing that I really like seeing is Allegri being really close to Leao. And it's almost kind of relieving because it's like he had like that tough love with Fonseca and he had that tough love with Conceição, which he was like, they were like the rough stepdad, right? Because you go from Pioli, who's very gentle, Padre Pioli, right? He's like the nonno of the group and everything like that. So you go to Fonseca and Conceição, they're like the rough stepdads. And I feel like Allegri has the charisma and the class to say all the right things and to really get the best out of a player like Leao mentally, right? On the pitch, it's a whole nother thing. But I think Allegri can really get the best out of Leao and really be on his side, right? There's always that famous video of Dybala and Pogba and Allegri playing basketball, So it's like maybe we'll see Allegri playing basketball with Leao or something like that. But also another thing, Allegri has the respect of the media and from Serie A. I think that's one of the things that I think I kind of overlooked when Allegri was signed because he has that pull and he has like that energy. Like I said, the charisma and the class to say all the right things. And despite his toxic ending with Juventus, I think that this could be a good thing, to be honest. I know I'm very on the fence about Allegri because I think it could go toxic, but I think it could be something that this is kind of Allegri's point to prove where it's like he has a lot of top quality players now, right? You're talking Modric, you're talking Ricci, you're talking Leao, you're talking Estupinan, and you're talking, for me, Pulisic and Santi Jimenez, I think are top players as well. So I think he's been given a better roster than his last year at Juventus. And I think Allegri has a big point to prove as well to be like, I'm still a very good coach. And I think playing one game a week, this might be his bread and butter. And I think if he gets something cooking here, then I think we're going to be on a good trajectory to see some success this season. Honestly, I think what we really need to look at this season, we need to get top four. I think that's the bare minimum, right? If we punch above our weight and, we win the Scudetto, we get second place, or we're in a title race by the end of the season, that's a W. But I think we have to look at this and be like, look, we finished 8th, 9th place last season. We need to get top four. That is the bare minimum, right? That's the minimum we need to do. And I think, honestly, I'd be happy with top four. I'd be happy with top four because this is a long-term project where we're looking at guys like Modric, who is going to lay down that foundation for a lot of other players to learn and kind of come in and really, take the reins of this team going forward. So I think there's a lot of exciting things coming around this season. So let me know what you guys are most excited for this season. But that's kind of just the question. Is Milan actually making the right moves this summer? And I don't know. I'm going to leave you guys to answer that in the comment section below, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys check us out on Instagram at Home of Milan. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see y'all in the next video. Ciao ragazzi.